Greeting, traveler.
All right, welcome to After the Salt Settles. I'll be your host, Bitbeaker. Joining me today is the Knackle Spackle and the master behind the data, Mr. Eridan. How's it going, guys?
Going good.
Going good.
So, how was your week in Hearthstone, Knackle?
Oh man, it was pretty good. I was in Discord the other night, and I'm tired with Hearthstone right now. I kind of hate it. So, I was just talking with everybody about, fun decks to play, and I ended up deciding on Murloc Druid. Fino had a pretty good list, and I played it really, really good last 2 days. I think I climbed about 6 or 7 ranks.
Nice.
Yeah, fun stuff. Love it.
How's it going with you down there, Eridan?
Well, I haven't really laddered in 3 weeks, but I've been really busy. I'm going to try and get back into some Dragon Warrior and or Dragon Priest when things pick back up, try to hit rank 5 this season, and give up on trying to hit Legend this season, of course, but maybe I'll hit rank 5. Who knows?
Yeah, I haven't been playing too much standard ladder. I've just been playing Wild, actually. Running...
oh, yeah, you're rank 5?
Yeah, I was at 5. I was running a Echo Reno Mage. Real Reno like 6 or 7 times in a game. It's hysterical.
Nice.
All right,
wow.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of them SHL league standings, shall we?
Sure.
Eridan, you want to walk us through some of this beautiful data you made here?
All right, well, as we can see from the SHL League standings, Piss is pissing on everybody. 3-0 record, no real weaknesses in their seeds. Of course, their 3 seed and their 4 seed haven't lost a match yet. They've gotten the maximum 12 points, the only team with a pair of people to do that. Got a 65% win record there, and it's a pretty dominating performance. Purple's all clustered together. Got Team Black Lotus and the Doghouse way at the bottom.
Yeah.
Lots of people at 1 and 2. Pair at 2 and 1, and well, it's the beginning of the season. Piss is running away, but it's anyone's game for second place.
So,
yeah, they've got out to a quick lead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, again this week, surprised with the Doghouse. Thought that they would be way higher, but unfortunately, no. They're down there with us in the Doghouse.
And it's weird. It's not like the Doghouse is a weak lineup or anything.
It looks really
especially
good.
With D Lineman and Phenom at the top. Jim Philos had a really good season last year in the last season in the 3 seed. I'm not so sure about the Avatar or the Anarchist. So these are maybe having a little trouble. But D Lineman and Phenom, that's a strong 1 and 2 right there.
Yeah, I agree.
It is very much so. All right, so let's check out our top dogs. All right, so we'll start down there at the 5 seeds. You want to walk us through the 5 seeds too, Eridan, and we'll pick it up?
Giving the newcomer a lot of airtime.
Well, you're already talking a little bit about
you,
some of these people.
You are the top dog in the 5 seed, so it's only fair that you talk about your your 5 seed peers.
I suppose I am the top dog in the 5 seed, but we can really see the 5 seed. 5 seeds really close together. That's 1 game each separating the number 1 from number 5 there. So and a lot of powerful names there. Merc and Pi had a great season last time. Rogue JT's good in THL. Picked up 4 points this week as part of a DQ. We'll see if he continues to struggle in SHL this season as compared to last season, or if he's going to continue piling on those points. Got off to a 2-1 start, which I think is the same number of wins as last season. And then I brought Paladin and won my match this week. Of course, the 2 decks I played with my 1 loss were the 2 decks that weren't Paladin, but hey, Paladin was in a winning lineup. So really close in the 5 seeds. We'll see how that progresses as the season goes by. So, Salt, how about you do the 4s?
Yeah, sure. Just wanted to say we did what? That was our first DQ of the season, right? For SHL was Merc and Pi.
Yeah, I want to say it was.
Yeah, first DQ of the season. But hey,
Yeah.
last season we had our first DQ in week 2. But no Odefin this season, so
And Merc,
week 3 this time. Damn it, Merc and Pi.
hey, he was 2-0 too, so that kind of.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise. No DQs last season.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the 4 seeds. Again, a lot of diversity. We do have one undefeated player at top. Pumbaa's BFF is doing really well. He 3-1 clobbered. Who is number 2 this week because of that? Dexter HS, a.k.a. Diamond, Mr. Captain of Zenergy. He is tied for 2nd. And then also tied as well as Jerry Damage, who's having a pretty good season, although he did lose his first match last week to Dexter 1-3. Surprises for the 4th seed. The Anarchist, he's doing really well in THL. I want to say he's undefeated in THL and hasn't won a match in SHL. So the formats are it's a good testament that they're very different. He's not having a whole lot of luck right now, and Aroy did sub in and lost to you.
He did.
That's pretty good. Very good. That's pretty much all I got on the 4s. Lots of 2-1s, up top, and like I said, Pumbaa's doing his thing over there on for Piss.
Yeah. All right, so let's check out the 3 seeds
Jerry's
up
making
here.
Jerry's making a good comeback as well, Jerry.
Yeah, I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him this season. He's doing real well.
So up here at the 3 seeds, we had Mange coming in at first, 12 points over here. Sweeping, 3-2 to Scales. Looks like he's won all 3 of his matches so far this season. Force of Will has been surprising me this season. Wasn't expecting him to do quite as well as he has been. Looks like he's 2-1 so far.
Yeah, he had a rough week last week, but
yeah.
I told him it happens to everybody, but he's still doing well in both leagues.
Yeah, and then tied for 3rd here we have 3. Joe HS, Scales 44, and the Avatar. So that's it. The 3 seeds are really tight for the most part, except for Mange up there at 12. I'm surprised to see Vegan Zombie at the bottom, being at the top last season. But there's still only 3 points separating him from 2nd. So,
right. Yeah,
lots of skill here.
Yeah, it's a very small gap.
The Avatar is listed. Says that he's 2-1, but Scales is in front of him. Is that?
What that is? That's just by win percentage. So you see, Scales has the 54, Joe has the 55, the Avatar has the 46.
Okay, so overall, the 3 seeds records are. It looks like just players that have dropped from the 2 seed, right?
Oh yeah, there has
Some
been
of them could be.
bit of that. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, because the majority are 1 and 2, so.
It's not dropping from the 2; it's rising from the 4, I think. Like Vegan Zombie went up to the.
Yeah, Vegan Zombie flopped with me.
Yeah,
so he's up there at 3.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, Aaron, you want to take the 2 seeds? We'll move on here.
Yep, 2 seeds, super competitive, just like the 5 seeds. See, some very small point differences. Again, 1 match is separating 1st from 7th. And this is personally what I think is one of the most interesting seeds because you got people that are used to being at the top, like Phenom here, and then people from usually Phenom and in position from the top, people usually in the middle, like Jedi Ninja and Dyer's Bear, mixed in with a couple newcomers, including Combat Wombat, who has jumped to first place in the 2 seeds as for the Defias Henchman. So there's something to be said for mixing people who are, again, always at the top,
Yep.
your Phenom, Tony Montana, G-Nets, with people from the middle. And surprisingly, that hasn't really pandered out to the people who are usually on top or the most successful. It's mixed around a lot, especially seeing G-Nets only with 5 points on the season. He did much better last season.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I know.
Phenom and Jedi Ninja at the top.
I know that this is Tony's first season in SHL, and he's told me that it's a lot different than than THL as far as conquest, versus last hero standing. So he's trying to get used to it, but it's definitely, he's not having as good a success as he has over in THL. I think a lot of that, you got I don't think Imposition played last season either in SHL. Or
he's new entirely.
He's new entirely? Okay. And Bear, that's the surprise for the 2 seeds for me. He had a really good, great season last season, obviously. Not doing so well this season. Has he brought Priest every week? I haven't checked.
I
don't
get that
think
information for you pretty quickly.
I only say that because he is, known for playing Priest, and maybe people are picking on that this season. I mean, it's possible.
He is known for playing Priest. He's brought it 2 weeks out of 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
His only consistent deck is 3 Shamans.
Right, and that's probably everybody's.
Not mine.
That seems to
I'm
get banned
not
quite a
playing
bit too.
Shaman. I'm not playing Shaman for a while.
That's why I bring it. Not that it matters. We can move on to the number 1 seed, and you see I'm 0-3 on the season with a 18% win rate. I'm having a hell of a time. Up at the top, we have at number 3, we have Josaru, who really good season. He beat me week 1. He 3-0'd D Lineman last week. Markshire at number 2. He swept Hockey Boys. And at number 1, we got Cassidy, who has a 100% win rate. Hasn't dropped a single game over 3 weeks, and he 3-0'd Delcavera last week. So the 1 seed, we have some very established names in THL up top, and that's seeming to translate well for him, for the most part for SHL. And then D Lyman's still at 2-1, despite losing last week. So he's still not bad. And the record, the 1 seed are all good. So for the most part, except for myself and Samu.
Good going, Saul.
Right, man. I lost my spackle.
Yeah, it looks like the top 3 are just running away with it here.
Yeah. Markshire in particular is doing really well in SHL and THL. I think he's 3-0 in both leagues this season.
Yep.
Killing it.
Yeah, really good player. I played Markshire week 2. I want to say.
Yeah, I think it was week 2
in SHL. Yeah, so I mean, I've had a couple of weeks against really good players. I played Joshua week 1, Markshire week 2. And then I played Samu last week, so that was a rough one for me. Despite we both had the same record, so.
All right, so let's move on to the THL league standings. See where everybody's at over there. So we got a little bit of a shakeup compared to last week, and interesting name there at 2 that we haven't seen before. So I've got Entropy up here at number 1. I guess that's Initium Novum at 2. Parallax 3. HSA at 4. Harry Generals at 5. It's the colors look a little bit more spread out this week than they did last week. remember there was a little bit of clumping at the top and a little bit of clumping at the bottom. I think most of the blue was kind of gravitating towards the top last week. It looked like that might have changed a little bit.
A little bit.
Press after loss of the season.
Yeah.
1600 dust. I'm actually surprised that they're quite as low as they are after the season they had last season. I was expecting them to do a lot better. But the divisions have changed too, so that might have a little bit to do with it.
Yeah, divisions have changed. Everyone's been talking about how 1600 Dust was in an easy division last season, and I think that's really starting to show now. But they did get a roster change. Spiver is out, and someone else is in, so we'll see if that changes anything. But yeah, 1600 Dust is. Hey, they're beating Squaggle, so.
Yeah, I was surprised by him coming out, actually.
Yeah, me too.
Well, last week they did have a shift where Ziggy Sarah went up to the 4 seed, from the 5 and was doing really well at the 5, and then, struggled last week in the 4, moving up a seed. So
yeah, 3-0 at the 5 seed, 0-3 at the 4 seed, and back to the 5 for next week.
Yeah, so I mean that that happens sometimes too when people are that close in NPR. So that didn't help either.
All right, so let's see where everybody stands individually here. So you want to take the 5 seeds?
Yeah, absolutely. Our top 5 is Crackshot coming in at 5th. Gemini coming in at 4th. We have Brentley 00 at 3rd. Rogue JT at 2nd. And in first place is Sun. Bunch of 5 seeds here in the in the top 5. Glad to see Gemini back, near the top. Rogue JT having another good season, and Sunshine going 3-0, beat Doc McButt 3-0 last week. I'm not sure, so that's a good win. And Sunshine 82% win rate, so awesome, good going.
Yeah, and I think it's also interesting to see that Crackshot and Rogue JT actually played each other, and they're still both up there. So that just shows how well they did the first couple weeks.
Yeah, anything surprising out of all the players? I
don't think there's anything too surprising about what's going on. Maybe Jack Sox isn't at the bottom, so that's a little bit surprising.
That is surprising.
All right, Eridan, you want to hit up these 4 seeds?
All right, let's do the 4 seeds. Looking at my seed again. Top 5, we got Braxy, so we got a member of Squagoy in the top 5, so something's going completely kooky in the 4 seeds. Dark Seed Dark Side is in 4th. Jing Buddha got a good one. Got a good one over me to get into 3rd place there. Arcane THL and D Lineman, the 4 seed that I'm still unsure of how the hell he's a 4 seed. But that's the top 5 for the 4 seeds. I'm down there in 11th, but that's because of my DQ win. If that DQ win counted, I'd be 5th, I think. Got a couple big names down there that you wouldn't really expect. People like Jesus C is down there pretty low.
Yeah.
Bitbeaker, I'm a little bit surprised you're down there.
I'm not really.
Well, yeah, you're not really, but still, I suppose. Tranador, I thought Tranador did a lot better than 17th last season, but I guess we won't know after this week since he got switched out for Boom Boom Hall on Synergy.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised to see Josh Sampson down here all the way at the bottom.
Yeah, Brunson isn't last. Josh Sampson is. That's quite surprising, actually.
Yeah, he's not having a very good season, and historically, over the last couple of seasons, he's been a very good 4 seed.
Yeah, I was expecting him to be much higher, even though it's only a few weeks in. But I mean, he's sitting down here with you, Knackle, at the 18%.
I'm a little bit better in THL. Not much, but a little bit better.
All right, so let's see what we got for the 3 seeds here. Got the top 5. We got Darius Bear down here at number 5, doing a little bit better in THL than SHL. Loch Ness at number 4. Me, Myself, and I know he's brand new with HSA at number 3. Crayon at number 2, and MV Parker holding strong at number 1 with an 82% win rate. He's been crushing it. So let's see what else we got in here.
We have Cutthroat with another win. He won 3-2 over Jedi. So
Yeah.
Cutthroat is 2-1. He's not 0 a bunch.
Got a surprise loss for Twiz, especially getting swept by Me, Myself, and I.
AKA Tigger Me Biscuits, AKA Spaghetti Walrus.
Spaghetti Walrus?
Yep.
Yes. Too many AKAs going on there.
Too much.
I know Kick Tripod, he went 3-1 against Pumbas. That was his first week, his first win of the season so far. So we'll see if he keeps that up.
I played Kick Tripod this week in THL, so we'll see. Hopefully I can pull it out, right?
Send me your deck lists so I can let him know.
Absolutely.
We got
Something
Captain
else
Murdoch down here at 0%.
Captain Murdoch 0-9.
Yeah,
Yeah,
0-9. There was another one that was let's see, that was pretty surprising to me. Let me no. I guess Delta 4-1 at 1 and 2. Very good player. Got swept by Dire Spare last week. Rest of it looks okay. Pumbaa's not having the best season though, so hopefully his win last week or loss, excuse me. Hopefully he'll get it back on track this week. And yeah, Murdoch's 0-9. That sucks. Hopefully he don't meme so hard, bro.
Yeah, that's rough.
Hombres. Of course he's gonna meme.
All right, Salt, you want to take the 2 seeds for us?
Yeah, sure. Number 5, we have Eldorian, not to be confused with Eridan. Number 4, we have Pink Samus, still having a pretty good season. Did lose to Dunamis Dex last week. Press F to pay respects. Number 3, we have JB. Number 2 is Aroy. And in number 1, 3-0, 75% win rate. We have Dunamis, so good player. We'll see a brand new version of their team this week, run by Arcane THL.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Excited to see that. They got a very high PR, like 1795 or 96 or something.
Yeah, I think it was
like
1796 point something.
Yeah,
it's up there.
1796.5.
Yeah.
So all the best to him moving forward. Notables in the 2 seed. Cheesy having a pretty good season. Also, Imbolt coming back as far as win rates. That's the weird thing. There's a lot of sub 50% records in the 2 seed here. So I guess some people not having the best season. Houdini 0-3. And also Mange, he's 0-3 as well, but making up for it over in SHL. So,
all right, so
that's what happens, Ben. You're a bad hombre.
So moving on to the 1 seeds. Let's see what we got going on over here. Lift that up there, Dan.
All right. 1 seeds. Super Sam has come back from his week 1 loss with 2 nice, impressive wins this week over Shady Zoroark. All right. And then a nice tie for 3rd. We have Adidas and Racy. Racy lost a close one to Markshire, who is in 2nd place, and then Smoked Salmon dominating the 1 seeds, 9-1, 90% win rates. Of course, the person he beat was Cassidy, a bad hombre, but still, pretty impressive record for Smoked Salmon. Other surprising things in the 1 seed, Slimsh is tied for 14th. So that's a bit of a fall from last season, though he does have that DQ that's pushing him down a little bit. Hector Howell, seems to be turning into a paladin of the past as he loses for the third week in a row. As he maybe this week he can try to become something of the present or the future, even if he can try to get a win this week. Old Greg, in coming back, has had a moderate start. Anything notable that you guys see there?
Obviously, Smoked Salmon and Markshire doing really well. The biggest surprise is Hector. Who's not having the best of seasons, and Slimpsh did pick up his. That's his first loss in a long time, right?
I want to say it is. I mean, his hidden PR has got to be astronomical.
He was undefeated last year, right? Or last season?
As I recall, yeah, he was.
Okay, so yeah, it's been a hot minute since he lost. That's my only real surprise is Tony Montana off to a rough start this season. We're doing some work, so hopefully we'll get the team back on track moving forward.
All right, so let's get to some news, shall we? I know there was some stuff that came out about Hearthstone this week. Max McCall, one of the game designers on the Hearthstone team, talked a little bit about Shaman. So what do you guys think about Shaman right now in the meta?
Aridin, do you want to go first?
All right. Well, Shaman is by far my least favorite deck, but that might be related to my sub 30% win rate with it because I suck at Shaman and I think the class is stupid. But the thing is, Max McCall says that there's 3 different types of Shaman decks currently popular, but for what I've seen, those are the ones that do run Doomhammer, the ones that don't run Doomhammer, and the ones that are stupid enough to try and be a control Shaman, and instead of just being a nice little aggro Shaman and getting to rank 5 faster than you can blink. I just think there's way too many overpowered cards for the class, particularly with Spirit Claws and Spall-Time Buccaneer, which really need to be +1 attack for both of them, not +2. So yeah, Dragon decks like Priest and Warrior beating Shaman? Not really. If you want to win versus a Shaman, play Reno Luck? No. Vicious Syndicate says it's like 48% Reno Luck against Shaman, against aggro Shaman. I don't buy it. I'm a sell on this information. I'm not happy with Shaman at all.
The biggest thing about all the different archetypes of Shaman is the majority of them still run the Pirate package. So when you're coming up against a Shaman, all the games are going to feel the same for the most part. Assuming you make it to the mid game, you'll maybe figure out that it's mid-range Shaman. Otherwise, I mean, even the mid-range Shaman can kill you by turn 5 or 6.
It can happen. Yeah, I like that in general 1 in 4 of your opponents is a Shaman. Right now. I didn't think that it was quite... Well, 1 in... I've been seeing a lot of Priest, but maybe that's just my pocket. I've seen about twice as much Priest as I've seen Shaman in the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as, 3 different types of Shaman decks, yeah, aggro Shaman, mid-range Jade Shaman, control Shaman, I guess that's your 3, But only one of them's really good, so...
Yeah, the aggro's definitely the best for ladder.
Popular is a very, very broad, for him to use. I wouldn't necessarily call control Shaman if that's the, maybe there's Shaman decks that I don't know about, but
no, I don't think so. I mean, that's got to be pretty much it. There's no other Shaman decks that I can think of in general other than ones that either run pirates or run control.
Right.
So speaking about pirates, Ben Brode had a little bit to say about them in an interview with PC Gamer, particularly when they were talking about Spirit Claws. So
this comment's silly,
isn't it though?
Yeah, That's not how they wanted people to use it.
Right.
You know, they didn't think that it was gonna work like that.
I wonder what happens when I introduce a 1-mana potential 3/3 into my video game. I wonder what's going to happen. Maybe all the aggro idiot deck builders are going to try and do something with that and try to make use of a 1-mana 3/3 weapon. Idiots.
So he seems to agree with a lot of the player base that Small-Time Buccaneer is the problematic card when it comes to the Pirates, not Patches.
Sure.
They did mention if they did go and try to change something, it would probably be Small-Time Buccaneer, which is great for me because I have 2 golden ones, so that's a free legendary. But that's another story. Patches isn't really, I don't think, that much of a problem. I mean, value-wise, you can get good value out of it, and you're not costing. It doesn't cost you anything. It's completely free, no resources. So, definitely good. But I don't think Patches is broken.
Yeah, intentionally nerfing Molten Giant. Didn't want people to play that card anymore, and it was hurting the ability for Standard to change.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting comment. See, I don't know why. Maybe the philosophy was a little bit different, but I don't understand why you would nerf a card to the ground just to the point where you can't play it anymore. I understand changing it, or, I mean, if that's what they really wanted, they could have moved it to Wild.
Yeah, I think at the time, like, maybe if they had it, I don't even know if you want Molten Giant existing in Wild like it was. You know, free Molten Giants with taunts was, you know, it really made Handlock what it was. So I guess they just didn't want, you know, that to be a possibility so easy. So, I mean, I can see it. Yeah, I wish they would have maybe just moved it to Wild, but they weren't even thinking about, you know, moving cards, you know, from Classic at that point like they are now, possibly.
No, not really. The only thing
was one of the most skill-intensive fun decks ever, and the Molten Giant nerf just got rid of it entirely. And you're taking a really big risk going to that low health to get some free 8/8s. Really, the only way you could abuse that was probably in a Reno Mage with Echo of Medivh or something, which, of course, that's in Wild now.
It is, and I've actually seen it abused at 25, the cost it's at. There's a guy who does a podcast, Walk to Work. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He's been posting all those comparisons on Twitter between all the different Reno Mage archetypes with the core cards and the Reno Lock archetypes with the core cards. But he was running.
I did see that post.
Yeah, he was running Echo Mage, similar list to what I'm running, but he had Molten Giants in there, and he would plop down a Molten Giant, and then he would get multiple copies of it, and he'd throw down 3 or 4 the next turn, and then a couple more, and it was just ridiculous.
Can get pretty nasty. And so they say that, you know, cards like Ragnaros limit design space for its mana cost, and they may be thinking about moving cards like, I guess they specifically cited Ragnaros.
Yeah, he
moving
just,
it to Wild.
Yeah, that name was brought up. I mean, it's just so powerful with the 8 mana slot for a neutral card. It's hard to find anything to compete with it and put in that slot unless it's a class card.
And they're gonna give. I guess if they move it and do not nerf it, do we get dust refund?
They didn't specify, but I wouldn't count on it. I mean, if they're just moving it.
I know he said that, and that's my only problem with that. You know, like everyone was led to believe that the, you know, evergreen cards would be exactly that. You know, so I have a gold Ragnaros. You know, so if they just move it, yeah, they don't, you know, and that seems to be like, you know, a lot of what they do when they change stuff. You know, either it'll be, you know, like a class card, you know, where, you know, like when they hit Warsong Commander, you know, you can't dust those cards,
right?
You know, so, and then if they, I don't know, I just don't like them do. You know, if they just move Ragnaros and not nerf it, then you know you can get your 1,600 back if you've got a gold one. But that doesn't really. I wouldn't do it for the, you know, 1,600 just to crap. I'd just keep the Ragnaros, but I would like to be able to disenchant and make, you know, 2 regulars maybe, you know, that I don't have.
That would be a good thing to do. That's for sure. So I don't know if you guys watched the Brian Kibler video or not that he posted, but there was a portion there where he talked about weapons really being kind of more of the problem than the pirates were.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Ben Bro doesn't really agree with that. Except for maybe a few specific weapons. If I had to guess, he's probably talking about Fiery War Axe and Spirit Claws and maybe Jade Claws.
You know, and
I mean those are really the most oppressive.
Yeah, but I mean that's every. I definitely see Kilder's point. It may be specific weapons, but
it's every weapon that's used.
Right. It's the ones where those decks thrive, and you know if Glaive Zuka was legal in standard, then you know that would be another specific weapon.
Right.
You know that would be a problem at this point because then you could reliably play, Pirate Hunter.
Yeah, and I've actually been running a Secret Paladin with the pirates, but I've been using the 2/2 weapon with the Joust that gets another 3 or it gets an extra durability or whatever. So Argent Lance, that's what it's called.
Yep.
And it gets the job done for what it needs to do, but it's lacking. It doesn't have the 3 attack like the Spirit Claws can, or like the Fiery War Axe does. It doesn't give you that extra body like the Jade Claws does. And that's part of the reason why I think Paladin can't really keep up with those classes at this point.
Yeah.
Just being another weapon class that can run a 2-mana weapon, and they still can't really keep up.
Right. Well, when they were nerfing cards last time, there was a lot of even when Firebat was doing the Batstone tournaments, at some point they banned War Axe, right?
Yes, they did.
So that was on the they did a whole poll of the players to compile that list, and it made that list. So Blizzard knows that undercost weapons like that are a problem, and they keep printing them. Either they print really good ones like Spirit Claws, or they give us Piranha Launcher. You know what I mean? Or Poison Blade, or some other bullshit like that. So
I'd love to find a use for the Piranha Launcher, but it just I can't. There's nothing there.
I've had two gold ones, and I don't dust gold cards, but I dusted those. Next topic was this one blows my mind too. The team was a bit disappointed that Shaman got more popular after Karazhan. That was not their intent, really.
Yeah, you look at the cards that were released in Karazhan.
Right. I don't know what they thought was going to happen.
It boggles my mind that they didn't expect that Shaman would get more popular after Karazhan, considering what came out of Karazhan for the class.
I would like, I like that they release this information. I would have liked them, for them to reveal what they're, if it was surprising that Shaman got that much more popular, what was their intention?
Judging by Purify, it was probably to make Priest great.
Exactly. And Priest isn't bad anymore. It's not horrible. It doesn't play Kazakus most of the time or patches, but it is what it is.
You just found my new THL deck. Patches Kazakus pipe.
Karazhan was interesting, but again, Spirit Claws just continues to boggle my mind to this day. Just a 1-mana 3/3. What do you expect when you print that card? Come on.
Well, it's only 3/3 25% of the time. Unless you're my opponent, then it's 100% of the time.
But still, 1 mana for a 3 damage weapon, even if it's a 1 mana 3/1, that's hardly reasonable in and of itself. A 1 mana potential 3/3. It's a 1 mana. Let me do the math. It's a 1 mana 1.5 3 if you want to go with the 25% in spell power. So it's a 1 mana 1.5 3. That doesn't seem balanced to me at all.
Well, they intended it for a new type of shaman deck and not the current shaman deck at the time. So I wish, I'd like to see Ben Brode's unicorn shaman that he had in his head. That included Spirit Claw, but didn't fit in the regular, mid-range or aggro shaman. So,
Yeah, I'd like to see it too.
That'd be neat.
So apparently one of the things he worried about is some of the big expansion concepts and the themes failing to land. Like with Cthulhu, I guess that's he said it was one of the most risky things they've done. It turned out to be good from a balance perspective. I mean, I really liked Cthulhu when it came out. I actually have a free-to-play account on EU, and that's all I run are Cthulhu decks, because that's the only legendary I have.
Well, with Cthulhu, that was one that it got played when the set dropped because everybody got it for free.
Yep.
Then everybody quit playing it for the longest time, and then it just kind of came back, here or there, depending on, there was some decks that it was good against. You did see Cthulhu Warrior pop up every now and then, depending on the other, warrior decks and whatnot that they were seeing at the time. But I don't know if I would consider the theme like they did. They devoted a whole bunch of cards to it, out of the set, and I would think that they would be, less than thrilled on, how much it saw play.
Yeah, I think the old gods as a whole kind of went pretty well for the most part, though. I mean, people do still use N'Zoth on occasion as well. Islar's never sees play. Probably never will. I crafted one anyway.
Yeah, they're very memeish.
Cool, but too slow.
Yeah.
Like, at least with Cthulhu's a really interesting concept. Like, you build up the entire game, and you're going, and then finally you just hit a climax, and you just play Cthulhu.
Well, I mean, like now, the only deck that really I've seen Cthulhu in too much lately is the Aviana Coon. And that cheats it out. That doesn't really play any Cthulhu guys until the end. So,
yeah,
I saw some weird mage deck.
Giant climax in general.
Right.
There was a mage deck that ran Cthulhu and the little spell dudes that give you +1 spell damage and buff Cthulhu every time you play a spell, and Gadgets and Auctioneers. So you would just cycle through a bunch of spells and then Cthulhu.
Yeah.
It was weird. It's not competitive, but it was interesting to watch.
Right. And so Ben Brode thinks that the Grimy Goons mechanic will be used more in the future once the meta slows down a bit. Right.
Yeah, but how likely is the meta to slow down, really? Because
it's not likely.
Where are pirates going? Most of that is classic and basic.
They're going into everybody's deck. That's where they're going.
I mean, the worst thing they're going to do to pirates is nerf the Buccaneer, maybe.
Yep.
But other than that, nothing from the pirate package is going to leave when rotation hits.
Right.
That deck's still going to be here.
Yeah. I don't know. There may be some decent Grimy Goon deck, down the line at some point, but we'll see. I have high hopes for Buff Paladin one day.
Yeah, it's an interesting mechanic, and if they keep with it in the expansions that are coming out, maybe it'll see play eventually, but I don't think it's going to see play anytime soon, either in this meta or probably even the next meta.
No, probably not. If it is, it'll be like fringe cards, that, like, for instance, in the pirate decks, some of the warriors do run the 4/3 guy that buffs a minion in your hand, at the end of turn.
Yeah.
But that's still very few. There's not too many. So I mean, we'll see.
We got to see that brand Don Honcho on your Leroy, and then Leroy Blessed Champion OTK. That's what I want to see in the meta.
That'll take too long.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm happy enough when Don hits my Leroy. It's an 11-7. It's good enough for me.
Don Honcho. Sorry.
Got a brand on Honcho. Got to do that OTK. Need that 32 damage OTK. Got to happen. I have hope.
So go ahead, Knuckle. You were starting to say something?
Yeah. I was just moving on. Said that they Blizzard tries to have a good balance in the obvious mechanics, such as Jade, the Jade or Cthulhu as an example. Just as many cards and you just stuff them all into your deck, and it, requires little deck building. And they also like to have balance with cards that require more deck building skill to utilize, I guess. I get...
Yeah, I mean, Jade isn't a very skill-intensive thing to use. Obviously, every time you make one, it's bigger.
But I guess, for non-obvious deck building skill, I guess if you look at the pirate, aggro Jade Shaman, it looks a bit weird, on paper. Works really well, obviously together. But then again, they didn't intend, that. So I don't know what they want. Players are always going to find, the most broken stuff. So, if they do nerf and move, then we'll just find something else, right?
Yeah.
The cycle goes on forever.
And speaking about players finding broken stuff, Max McCall also talked a little bit about the process behind the set design. Maybe they need to hire a few of those players, make sure stuff like Small Time Buccaneer doesn't happen again.
I guess Small Time Buccaneer was what? Fan service to people that have been wanting to play Pirates for a couple of years now. I don't know. They were like, here's a good pirate. What harm can it do? Shit.
Destroy the entire meta. Destroy it.
They didn't mean to, man. They were just trying to, give the pirates some love, like they give to other, tribes from time to time, I guess. They just messed that one up.
Yeah, when you're trying to give love to tribes, stuff like Finja is great. Small Time Buccaneer, maybe not so much.
Finja's busted, man. I've been playing Finja all day today.
Finja can get ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah, but you look at a 5 mana 2/4, right? You look at 5 mana 2/4, you're like, that's not really that creative stats. But you look at a 1 mana 1/2, just naturally, you're like, okay, a 1 mana 1/2, what's it do for me? Oh, it becomes a 1 mana 3/2, and it summons a 1/1 with charge for my deck.
Does all kind of good stuff.
That seems pretty good. I mean, 5 mana 2/4. It's not that much stuff with 2 health on the board on turn 5, unless you're playing a pirate deck, but you're at 4 health by turn 5 anyways, playing pirate decks.
Right. Yeah. And Slimp points out that this is the largest card pool in the cycle of the Year of the Kraken, and 40% of the meta runs patches.
Yeah, and they don't run patches because of anything other than Small Time Buccaneer.
Yep.
Or if you're Rogue.
Yeah, and I like from the interview with Max McCall how I don't like it, but most cards in a set stop changing about 2 months before release. So if that's true, then we're running up on the time now where they will stop working on the next set, right? They'll be done with it, right?
Yeah, it should. If they stick to their cycle, I'm thinking April, right? Yeah,
right. So we'll start to get information and cards sometime late March. So we're at about that time where, they're about done with the set. So we'll see. Hopefully, it's going to have to be a great set, though, I think. And that there's 2 teams that work on the sets. There's initial designers and final designers. That I guess, you get an initial team to work it out, and then the second team, I guess, in theory.
Yeah, I guess the initial design team is in charge of the setting, the theme, the mechanics, the ideas for the deck archetypes of the set. So they should have noticed patches. the names, the art, and flavor for cards.
I don't necessarily like the last one. The developers responsible for card sets work on multiple sets at the same time.
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense though.
Coming in the future to see what synergies you might have in the future, but it's still really important to know what's going on right now, so you don't see the small-time Buccaneer patches thing.
It's probably because they were working on multiple sets at the same time and didn't realize that small-time Buccaneers would be good because they're 3 sets ahead.
That could be part of the issue as well. I mean, the next set might have answers to small-time Buccaneers, so when they're playtesting, maybe they didn't have issues with it.
That's a whole bunch of AoEs that do 2 damage for 1 mana. I don't know. I don't know what.
Maybe in the next set we'll see a bunch of weapons that suck that need good pirates. Or you can play small-time Buccaneer at the expense of the fact that your weapon sucks. So you have a small-time Buccaneer in the patches, but you also have a Piranha launcher.
No to Piranha launcher.
So you have to make a big trade-off in order to get the buff. Mm-hmm. That's at least something that we can hope for. I don't know.
Yeah. So with the final design team, apparently that process takes 3 to 4 months. So I think that's about what we typically look at for the actual release. It's about what, 4 months ish between sets.
Right.
So I mean that kind of makes sense.
So they were on. This reads kind of fun. I don't know. It reads weird in my head as far as, if the final design of a new card set takes 4 months, then they were finalizing this next set when this one came out.
I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like. And Slim says in the chat, where'd it go here? He said next set is an adventure, right? I don't know if that's necessarily true.
No, next set is a...
I want to say it's going to be an expansion. They haven't officially said it's going to be an expansion.
Yep.
But they did mention that they want to start every cycle, like Year of the Kraken, expansion, adventure, expansion. So whatever this next cycle is going to be, if that's the way they're going to go, then they would start with another expansion. Even though, to date, it would be an adventure, the way they've been releasing stuff.
Yeah, they'll definitely...
it's going to go expansion, adventure, expansion this year.
Yeah, because you can't have them go adventure, expansion, adventure. That the card pool would be too small at the end. So, and they would only make $20 twice.
It would changing it up and going with an expansion this time, like everybody seems to think they're going to do, would definitely be a precedent for them.
Yep.
But it makes sense with the cycle of the sets.
Yeah, and then the same team is also working on brawls, fireside gatherings, adventures, new systems, user interface, and more. And more is not explained. So yeah, they're all working on a whole bunch. Now he does say that around they have a lot more. They do have a lot of employees working on the game. So I mean, from what I understood, there are dedicated teams to work on all that other stuff. So I'm hopefully the actual game designers, since their teams are growing, they'll get a little bit better over time, because this game isn't very old.
No.
And as far as other card games are, Magic is ancient. They've had a lot of time to practice, and Hearthstone would probably have even more mistakes, if they didn't have those games to hopefully learn a little something, even though the cards aren't always relatable. There's still things that you can figure out by seeing how other game progressed.
Yeah, I know they wanted to do something different as far as Magic is concerned when it came to what's now the standard rotation.
Yep.
I believe they said multiple times it was going to be different, new, and exciting. And then they came out with this new exciting idea of standard, like Magic.
Right. Exactly.
But the thing is, I mean, it's tried and true. It's a format that works.
It is. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. So I like standard, and we'll see. Moving forward to this next expansion, I'm a little hesitant again, but I felt the same way when Standard rolled in the first time. You know what I mean? And it turned out okay. You know, there's some stuff that I don't like, and there's obviously some stuff other people don't like. But I mean, all in all, it wasn't horrible. You know, I think they did a decent job with it.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, like I said, nervous, but I think they'll do all right again, and hopefully, as these cycles roll through, it'll get a little bit better every time.
Mm-hmm. It'd be nice if they at some point have fixed the spectating glitches that we all know of, and even the rainbow glitch on Mac would be nice to be rid of.
They say that there were didn't they have didn't the last patch supposedly have a hot fix for the Druid, and it still does it anyway?
I'm not sure. I don't read the patch notes because they're typically not very informative for the most part anyway.
I thought I read somewhere that it might have been in an interview that they were working on it. So it's one or the other.
I just play the game and complain about it. That's pretty much my job.
I try and read a little bit. It's hard. It doesn't have pictures, but I try.
So let's move on to some Q&A.
Sure.
What we got here on the Q&A. Joseph Toya. I think you have an answer to this one, Knackle. What's a Detrucci?
Rogue JT asks, what is a Detrucci? I don't have a whole lot of information for you, Rogue. I got a little bit, but it's not very exciting. I dug deep in the internet, and all that I could really find is that, Detrucci is an alternative guitarist and a pianist, and also a YouTube techno DJ. So could all be the same guy. I'm going to go with, Detrucci does all of that himself. So, he's a super guy. He just does everything. Plays the piano, plays the guitar, techno DJ. And we wouldn't know that because, nobody listens to techno. So
hey,
I'm glad I could help everybody out. I will continue to do research, though, and find out for sure.
You get on that. He had another question, a little bit more related to the actual league.
Cool.
So if you were given critiques on your play from players who are better than you, even though you think you played absolutely perfect, how would you respond?
Yes. This is relevant, to league news.
Indeed.
This week. Okay, so, I listen to advice, for whoever gives it. And, I think if it's somebody that is better than you and they tell you that you're just doing it wrong, then you should probably listen to it, and at least try it their way, and if you see results, then good. If you don't, then, you can ask questions after the fact, but, just saying, screw you, I know better than you when, you probably don't is not the way to go, in my opinion, anyway.
Absolutely. And there was I think, whatever series was going on recently, I think it was the Trinity series with Tice, Life Coach, and Super JJ all on the same team. I know the Life Coach, you could hear him when they were talking about their plays because it was a team league. But Life Coach, he didn't really talk a lot, but when he did, they usually went with his plays because he knew what he was talking about.
Right, even even pro players, do take advice from others, and I'm sure they all feel like they're the best. So just a little, case in point. If Tice listens to Life Coach, then if somebody if Slimch gives you some advice on what you may or may not should do, then try and listen. Watch your VODs. If you're on Salty Saturday, even if you don't want to, even if you get 3-0'd, don't watch them the next day. I heard someone give that advice, the other day. But sometime, definitely don't watch it the next day. But anytime in between, that next day and before you play your next match, at least watch it once.
Yeah.
After you calm down, that way, that way you have time to, think about it and then watch it, maybe from a different perspective.
But you also have to remember that sometimes you're just not going. There's some games that you're just never going to win. Like your opponent gets all of the pirates that they need for synergy. They ramp perfectly. They get all their jade cards at once. They get all their synergies. They get their combo instantly. They get Freeze Mage gets all their cards before turn 9. Like all that stuff can just happen, and you have to accept that sometimes you're just going to end up losing.
That is true. But
that kind of relates to Force of Will's question too. How do you get past a tough loss or week?
I mean, if in Eridan's example, if your opponent just has it and you play perfect, then what can you say? It's Hearthstone. It happens sometimes, but that's not an excuse to not play perfectly if your opponent draws that well. So you should still make the correct line as often as you can.
Right.
Up to 100% of the time. And
Or, of course, you can just bitch about how the game's RNG hates you and your opponent is just an asshole who drew perfectly. That's always a solution. That is always.
Some people go that route, yeah, but it's not very productive.
And I've told Will, I'm on his SHL team and he's on my THL team, so we talk a fair amount, and he did have a rough week last week, so it happens. If they both went 5 games, then he played 10 games. That's a very small sample size. Over the course
for 1 week.
But I mean, how often do you drop 3 or 4 games on ladder? Happens all the time. So I just try and put it out of your mind. Think about the games, what you could have done. If there was a, for instance, I made a misplay that cost me a game last week. Surprise, right? But I know not to do that now. So just do that. Kind of think about your match and don't take too much on. Just an individual week. I mean, your team's not going to hate you, I don't think, if you lose. We're all here for fun, so,
Most of us are here for fun.
Can't
necessarily say that for everybody.
I like to win, don't get me wrong, but,
I'm just here to get data for spreadsheets.
I believe that.
No, nobody's gonna be mad if you lose, Jesus. I would hope not, anyway. Like, you're not going to get yelled at.
So Nate had a question. Sometimes captains will express concerns with a problem player on their team, whether it's having a history of poor communication, missing practice, missing class submissions, missing matches, or other conflicts. What advice can you give to those captains looking to resolve these issues?
So, I'm sorry, I don't have the question in front of me. Did it say history of?
Yes. A history of.
Well, as a captain, my advice would be, if that's your concern, then don't pick the player up, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And if you do decide to pick that player up, then you're gonna have to suck it up if it happens to you too, right?
Now, if
until it's something, as far as not nothing against the rules, like if you have somebody that don't want to practice with you or whatever, not miss it, like blatantly missing matches, that's a little bit different. But when you sign them, you do know that that's a possibility. So, if it happens to you, at least for, a short amount of weeks until, something happens to that player, then, it's kind of on you a little bit, right?
Yeah, and you may not necessarily know the history of that player when you pick them up. Even if you do your research, it's possible that maybe they didn't have that history before. Maybe it's something new, but
that's a possibility, But if it says that, I guess Nate's question, I'm sure he's talking about something specific. But anyway, it says history, so that person, in the example over the past X amount of seasons, has had a problem. So if you're signing a veteran, from the league and you do a little bit of research, you would see, and that's just flipping through what was the score this week, what was the score that week. You would see, oh, there was a DQ here, there was a DQ here, there was a DQ here, so on and so forth, 2 or 3 times a season or whatever. Maybe in some cases, you might want to talk to the player at least, and maybe they have a real good reason. I'm not sure, but that would give you don't have to pick them up if you don't want to. And
if you're a captain and you're looking at, if you're a captain and you think, well, maybe this O'Deffin guy seems like he might be a good addition to your team.
Right, and if you don't research that yourself, then that's your problem, right?
Yeah, I mean, as far as DQs and stuff like that go, you can easily look up a player's history just by going to the previous seasons on the THL website.
Yeah, and hard to communicate is a little bit different, but again, if you go on the Facebook page or if you go into Discord, if you ask somebody in Discord, then I'm sure they will gladly give you information on a known player, because most of us that have been around for a long time know something about everybody.
Yeah, I know. I asked around a bit for the players that I picked up.
That's a good idea, I think.
And it seems to be working out. I mean,
yeah.
I like my teams, so not doing as good as we were last season in SHL, but we'll turn it around.
It happens. But for instance, if somebody would have said, "Hey, don't pick up," one of the players that you did pick up, you might have, you might have listened. So good that you at least asked around. If you hadn't have, you might have picked up something that you didn't want.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Also, be clear, with your expectations of your players, when you are signing them to your team. If you want to practice, 50 times a week, then, you need to communicate that, to your players beforehand. So, just things like that. If you're a little unorthodox or, like I said, every captain runs their team different. So,
hey, just be Hector Hal. Make an application that takes 2 hours to fill out so you can get all the info on you.
I tell you, TBH, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, then maybe you can. Actually, I haven't looked at the standings in a while, but they were last after week 1.
He did. I don't.
Like what, in the middle now?
Well, no. He didn't. He only had that last season.
Oh, really? Oh, there wasn't anything like that this season.
I know.
That is disappointing.
I know. I put a
application
out.
Yeah, I put a post up on Reddit.
Application out so badly.
Yeah, I put a post up on Reddit with an application, a link to an application page. That's where me, myself, and I came from for HSA.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing a good job.
Yeah, I think so. And like I said, that's not a bad idea. It may be a little excessive to some people, but got to screen your people, man.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions?
We do. This one's from Nate again. Nacko lost to Spackle confirmed.
Sure.
But is vegan zombie malnourished? Given his abstinence from brains, I'm concerned about his record. He might be a little bit malnourished. He's not doing so great this season.
It's not even a question, Nate.
No, not so much.
No.
We'll get him back on track.
Yeah.
Berkshire, carry the team.
Oh yeah, he's doing great.
Yep.
So David Smith, we'll call this our last question here. Now that it's been a season and a half with the SHL format, what are the different challenges that players in the SHL last standing will likely face that they won't face in THL standard conquest mode?
Trying to beat a deck that just beat you. LHS is fundamentally so different from Conquest as a whole. The format is completely different. It's a lot easier to just, for the average player to just accept that, to not ban Shaman. It's a lot easier to let your opponent play Shaman in a Conquest format, because if they get a Shaman win, then you don't have to deal with it anymore. But in LHS, if they get that Shaman win, you're going to have to play it again.
Yep. Yeah, and generally the way that it goes, either you're gonna win your favored matchup, and possibly because your opponent's gonna pick a strong deck. So if you win your unfavored matchup first, that makes it way worse going down the line because more than likely every deck that your opponent has to pick after that is probably gonna, it's gonna be a much better matchup for you, and you can get stuck pretty quick.
Yeah, and I think with the Conquest, you have to be a little bit more proficient as far as how many different decks you can play well.
What was it? Oh God, how was it? Conquest is about what is it? How good your worst deck is, and Last Hero Standing is about how bad. I don't remember. Fuck it.
Yeah, no, that's it.
how bad your worst deck is.
It's how bad your best deck is.
How bad your best? Yeah.
Yeah.
I had it backwards. So it is the thinking's completely different. As far and like I said, Q order is a huge deal in Last Hero Standing, and it's not as much in Conquest.
It is. I mean, if you queue up with your best deck and it immediately gets knocked out, I mean, you might as well call it quits because you're probably not going to win at that point.
One of the advantages of LHS, though, is after the first game, you know exactly what deck you're queuing for the rest of the match. Like, if you win a game in LHS, you're playing that deck in the next game no matter what. If you lose a game in LHS, you know what deck you're playing against. So it's a lot easier after the first game to pick a deck to queue up. But then you get things in Conquest. Like, you can't get the really fun things to happen in Conquest where you just build your lineup to completely counter one of your opponent's classes. I remember Frozen at last call. I just targeted Control Warrior. That's a legendary moment for me, and that you can't get that in LHS. That's just a Conquest thing.
Right. Yep.
All right, so Knackle, you got any closing thoughts?
No, just everybody this week, SHL, THL, get your submissions in. Hopefully we won't have any DQs this week. I would appreciate it greatly if, I don't have to deal with that this week. So please get it done.
Yes, and Eridan, the Data Man, you got any closing thoughts down there?
Yeah, two little things I want to say. Guys, if you're playing on Sunday, please get your results in as quick as possible because I want to try and input the data on Sunday night and not get to bed at 4 a.m. I missed 2 of my college classes because I overslept on Monday because I was inputting data. So
you should probably not do that.
But still, yeah, I should probably learn a thing or two from that.
You should probably
play your matches quickly.
You should probably never ask them to do that. Now they're all going to submit at 3 o'clock in the morning.
It's just going to give me something to do at Monday at lunch. Submit your results Monday at lunch. Just make it that easy. Give me all your DQs.
The league's going to troll you so hard now.
Last thing I want to say, thanks for having me on the show, guys. It's great to be here. It was fun the first time. It's fun to be back. It's fun to do the data for you guys. And I hope y'all are interested in having me back at some point. Maybe at the end of the season, I'll give you my massive data dump.
It'd probably be a pretty good time to have you. It's going to be a
a
lot to go over.
Yep. I love sharing me a massive dump.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Eridan. Nice to see you as always, Knackle. Anybody who's watching who's not familiar with the league, go ahead and click that follow button, twitch.tv/Team Hearth League, and we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Adios.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Mm-hmm.